Well, hello and welcome to the Confused Breakfast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
Right off.
It's hard to beat the ease of the modern era in streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch, but there was something truly special about going on a walkabout, ending up at Blockbuster, browsing the movies, and picking one out to take home with you. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. My name is Mike Schulte. Joining me, as always, two dudes who always make me feel like Jane in a Tarzan comic. Sean Pryor and AJ Venz, how the heck are ya?
That's how I'm hoping to make everyone feel, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be fuckable, even though I'm married. That's like the thing, I think, you know?
It's the last stand in life. Like, once that goes away, you're like, well, I think I'll die now.
Like, fuckable to anybody who would be interested in me. Just be like, yeah, I would fuck that guy. He's married, and I won't ever do it, but, like, he's fuckable.
You just say you want the validation.
Yeah, I'm a narcissist. I need all that.
I'm old enough now to where I'm fine with the, like, maybe the double glance to where somebody walks by and they go, oh, nah. I'm at least fine with that.
I'm trying to wear the outfits that will get me kicked out of this building.
Cool.
Yeah. As soon as I arrive.
Good thing no one's ever here. Well, boys, on today's episode, we discuss the second highest grossing movie of 1996. It was nominated for an Oscar, spawned 2 sequels, and spurred an influx of tourism to the great and beautiful country of Australia. The elusive double reverse fish out of water plot.
Yeah.
We're, of course, talking about 1986's Crocodile Dundee.
Well,
I made that up.
Okay. Ladies
Sounds
and
good.
gentlemen,
I didn't realize it.
it's time for another nostalgic journey to the past with the Confused Breakfast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy
You and your polyrhythms.
wherever you are.
I already forgot.
Take it away, boys.
Polyrhythm amorous.
Well, if you are new to this podcast, we're going to be reviewing Crocodile Dundee scene by scene with a modern eye. But in order to do that, we got to talk about with pure nostalgia. This was actually my choice.
It was your choice? I thought it was AJ's choice.
Nope, I picked this. AJ picked The Wizard last week. I picked Crocodile Dundee.
That's right.
And the reason I picked this was because I as a child, this was a 9 for me. I loved this movie. We watched it all the time. I think we recorded it off of TV probably, like where it's on cable. You put it on your VHS. Kids today will never understand that. We watched it all the time, and I really loved it. It actually really spurred an interest for me to go to Australia. I spent a month in Australia when I was 18, and I want to go back so bad. However, that flight is just way too long to have like a week of vacation. So Australia, we will come do a tour there is what we will do. But the thing that spurred this for me is I have not seen it for probably 20 years. And I saw an article that somehow popped up that's like, Crocodile Dundee, sexist, racist, trash garbage. Let's cancel it. And I was like, oh, God, no. Oh, no. One of my favorite movies as a child. We need to rewatch this. We might as well do it on the podcast. So I will reserve my thoughts on that. But 9 for me. 9 for me. Sean, what about you?
Hey, man. I watched this movie with my mom and my, I guess, whoever she was seeing at the time. We were living with him. His name was Greg. Gross.
That name, huh?
He sucks. Like,
Was he the karate instructor?
like literally, he sucks. Like I don't know. There's a relationship in a movie that really reminded me of him, but I'll get to that later. But I watched this. I watched this on VHS with them, and he had the most obnoxious laugh, like like that's like how he laughed. And like when we saw movies in theaters like America's Sweethearts, he would be like the only one laughing at a joke, but that volume, and it pissed me off as a kid. But I watched this, and he kind of looks like Paul Hogan a little bit. Okay. Greg does. You guys know.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Just in the face.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-oh.
So he had leather on his face.
Leather face.
He
So like
looked
that
a leather
mask
face.
up there.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
I guess I didn't like it at the time. But no, I didn't like this movie at all. I thought it was like just kind of like a stupid romance, and like he was just kind of stroking his ego by showing me this movie. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give this a 3.
3 for Sean. AJ, what about you?
I think I'm going to be somewhere in the middle of you guys. This is fun going last, actually.
Hey.
I remember this movie. I loved the Crocodile Dundee movies when I was a kid. Now, I think I grew up more on number 2. Crocodile Dundee
Lost in
2.
New York?
Lost in New York. And
That's the first one.
Oh, that's the first one.
wait. That's
get
that
lost.
double reversal again.
Yeah.
Triple reversal. No. I think, but no, like I also grew up on this. I don't think there is a more quoted movie by my dad or many dads in the world of, that's not a knife, like this is a knife, and then or just a ton of them, right? There's so many Crocodile Dundee quotable moments in this, but I remember it very fondly. We grew up watching it. I didn't understand a lot what was going on. I just thought it was cool, and I grew up thinking, wow, he's just a really nice guy to everybody, and he can just kind of take care of himself. I think that's really cool. It's very admirable. So yeah, that's awesome. I would give this an 8. Since I know I like Crocodile Dundee 2 number more, I think I like that more.
The second one?
I think I like the second one more still. I think. We'll see. I think I'll reserve this one back to an 8.1 nostalgic.
So not in the middle of us at all. Okay, anyway, so Michael
You're a
Guiliano.
9, he's a 3.
I would call that a 6.
That's a number in the middle of
That's a
9 and
number
3.
in the middle, Michael. Okay.
Whatever. We got an executive producer today, Michael Guiliano. He says, my mom was always a fan of showing me and my sisters these must-see movies as kids, usually something from the 70s or 80s, long before we were born. What she never took into account is that we were usually around 7 years old when she would try to show us these classic movies, not the same teenage or 20s she was when she saw them. This would usually result in the three of us being bored, confused, and annoyed while our mom would give running color commentary about how good the movie was and that we just didn't get it yet. Crocodile Dundee may have been the first of these she made us sit through, but it definitely wasn't the last. I honestly only remember bits and pieces because, like most of the movies she made us slog through, it put me off so much that I honestly don't think I've wanted to rewatch it since then. Other than a few memorable bits with the crocodiles in the bush, I can't say I remembered much of what happened in the movie. Nostalgically, this is going to be a 4. Michael, I'm going to be doing that to my kids as they grow up for sure. So I know what your mom's going through here.
It's just so funny to think about just a grown adult. I'm not calling out like your mom or anybody. Like, we all do it, right? But just say it to like 7-year-olds. You just don't get it.
You just don't get it.
Yeah, obviously.
It's very funny.
So as a group, we're a 6.01 nostalgically. That's going to be just below Days of Thunder and The Mummy, just above Son-in-Law and Stand By Me is how we feel about that. So
Okay.
time to strip that completely away. We
Get
got to
it
go
outta
to
here.
Sean. We got to learn the important details of the movie. Sean, what do you got, bro?
Crocodile Dundee, YouTube 427 is what I spent. Produced by John Cornell, written by Paul Hogan, Kent Shaddy, and John Cornell. I'm just reading my
That's great.
my thing verbatim. Cinematography by Russell Boyd. He also did Picnic at Hanging Rock, Tin Cup, Liar Liar, Master and Commander, and Ghost Rider with our savior Nick Cage. Music by Peter Best. I think it was good, not his best. Directed by Peter Feynman. He also did the movie Dutch. Cast: Paul Hogan, Linda Kozlowski, John Mellon, David Gulpilly, Richie Singer, Maggie Blinko, Steve Rackman, and Reginald Vell Johnson. Paul Hogan was a fairly big name in Australia with his sketch show. While visiting New York, he was a little shocked that people were a little confused by his accent. A lot of people asked if he was Irish. Feeling like a literal fish out of water, Hogan was inspired to write a treatment for a script. Also feeling like his home country, Australia, needed a folk hero in movies like Indiana Jones for America. Paul Hogan employed the use of his buddies he wrote his sketch show with to help out with the filming script. The creators thought that American audiences misunderstood the Australian people and thought that we thought they were all shrimp on the Barbie kind of talk, kind of thing like that. So the writers were going to deliver a character just like that, but turned up to 11. Principal photography began on July 13th, 1985, and began filming in Australia. The production had to wait for the dry season in Kakadu National Park to avoid crocodiles, and after about 6 weeks in Australia, the production moved to New York City. The film wrapped on October 11th. I just like that movie Crocodile Dundee had to avoid the crocodile season in Australia.
Yeah, duh.
That's fun. That's really fun. Paul Hogan expected Crocodile Dundee to be a big hit, saying that, "I'm planning for it to be Australia's first proper movie. I don't think we have any of those."
Nope.
I would think have a talk with George Miller and Mel Gibson to answer that bullshit, because Mad Max is a bit of a classic nowadays, and kind of a big franchise now.
I would agree.
Regardless, 20th Century Fox hated it as well as Warner Brothers, but Paramount picked it up soon after they turned it down. Crocodile Dundee was released in Australia on April 24th and on September 26th in the U.S. 1986. And on a budget of 8.8 million Australian, the film made, he was right, 328 million at the box office, and it spawned 2 sequels.
It's not bad.
Not
Well,
bad.
thanks, Sean. We got to remind everybody, though, we usually tell you about ways to support us. We have a giant way for you to support us right now. We are doing our first live podcast outside of the state of Iowa. We are in Chicago. On July 17th at the Lincoln Lodge. Tickets are already on sale. There's a link in the bio. If you are in Chicago or if you are in a drivable distance of Chicago, if you just really love us and have a direct flight into Chicago, it would mean the absolute world to see you there to sell this show out. July 17th, Chicago, the Lincoln Lodge. Please help us out. If this goes well, then we're on tour for the rest of the country.
You
so
bet.
if this goes terrible, we will stick to being in our studio for the rest of our lives.
Stay here the rest of the time.
We'll never go anywhere ever again.
Let's drink some Malort and have a party. Come on.
Done. Well, up next, we got to go to AJ. He does the research for us, gives us ratings and reviews from critics and fans alike. What do you got, brah?
That's not a tomato meter. That's a tomato meter.
That's your best work.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. 89%. Great year, too.
89. The critics think this movie is the same as The Breakfast Club, Christmas Story, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Duel. It is higher than The Matrix, The Shining, and Big Lebowski, per the critics.
Obviously. Duh. So that's 59% from the audiences. It's a decent discrepancy.
Hey,
there.
this is unique. This goes to show you the critics are always wrong for the most part. Most of the time, the discrepancy is that the critics thought it was low, but the fans thought it was high.
Exactly.
Right.
This is only the 4th time where the audience felt a movie was 20% or lower than the critics did.
Wow.
Of all the movies we've done.
170-ish movies.
Yeah,
that we've
so
done?
only what? I don't know. 10 of, or sorry, only 4 of them feel that they're less than 20%. So Blair Witch was tied with this. It had a gap of 30% between the audience and the critics.
Oh, wow.
Wow. See?
So audiences felt the Blair Witch
Audience
was
were like,
worse
no.
than the critics thought.
Yeah. And critics were like, it's glorious.
I get it.
Yeah.
How about 6.6 on IMDb?
Listen to this. The audience always gets it right. This is tied with The Great Outdoors, Heavyweights, Roadhouse, and Mighty Ducks.
That's just a fun batch of movies right
Got
there.
it right.
Thank
I feel
you.
like all those movies are better than this one.
Well,
that's fine.
Michael
Tip your hat,
Wilmington over at LA Times gave this a 90 out of 100. This says, certainly, Crocodile Dundee is nothing you can examine deeply or mull over afterwards. It's simply an expert crowd pleaser. It has such a sure, easy, confident touch that it's almost failure-proof, like a tip of the hat, a sip of a beer, a quick golden g'day.
G'day.
G'day,
Nice.
bidet.
Bidet.
Day bidet. I wanted to hear some more from the bottom end of that. Let's just say The Guardian. Yeah, why not? They gave it a 40 out of 100. For a long time, Crocodile Dundee isn't so much a collection of jokes as a stiff-jointed, opposites attract, romantic drama goofed up with stereotypes.
Stereotypes.
Ugh. 1 out of 10. This is Joachimo Keefe. Joachimo Keefe in 2020, August 23rd.
420, fucking let's go.
Fucking August 23, 2020. It says, see you much later, alligator. I just love the size. Oh, this is
I'm funny.
What's that?
Nothing.
This was a big hit in 1986. So were Duran Duran, I seem to remember. Seeing that this movie manages to stretch a foreign hick can't work out what a bidet is for gag for 10 minutes. Standards in 1986 must have been pretty low. It has a couple of good gags, spread thin like the last knockings of a jar of Vegemite. I definitely remember Crocodile Dundee too. Same. And the totally forgotten Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles being being a painful turkey, it's amazing that this slow, sexist, saporific yawn fooled any of the people, any of the time. And it was plain to see then, as will be forever, that the perfectly amiable Linda Kozlowski cannot act to save her life, or even her doomed marriage to the protagonist.
Okay. Wow.
Somebody, I feel like he's just got background with her.
Can we just file that under
somehow?
reviews that no one cares about?
No,
We just file that one?
I mean, yeah.
We got a pile of them, just like reviews that no one needed to read.
We'll file those away in our special. I can see it right through there.
Yep, there it is.
Oh yeah,
There it
our
is.
cabinet.
Yes.
Over there. Yeah.
How about it, guys? 1 out of 10. Might as well just get it out of the way, right? 1 out of 10. Trigger warning: sexual assault not mentioned.
Here we go.
Here we go. And you guys want to take a guess when this was? You don't need to. 2021. All right.
Yeah.
Warning, spoilers. Nothing about this movie mentions sexual assault, which happens in the bar scene to a trans woman. So they were supposed to re-sticker these movies, guys.
Yeah.
As warning, like, there's
Trigger
sexual
warning
assault.
stuff. Yeah.
So there's triggering things in this movie from 1986.
And did you have a name of this person?
This was Aniaro Main Gurge.
Okay, well never mind. I was going to say something and we're just not going to say it.
Okay. Well,
Actually, we're going to beep it out right now.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Along the lines of they them or
No, that's just a white male. Everybody knows this review's coming from a white male.
There's actually more to this. It just says trigger warning. This half attempted joke ruined the entire series for me.
come on.
So,
I went out, I bought all 3 Crocodile Dundees. I sat down, I go, here we go. And then I saw this scene and I said, there was no warning that a movie 40 years ago had this in it. And he just rips up his DVDs and breaks them.
just
Yeah.
Those are hard to break.
Yeah,
too.
I know.
Ugh.
So, just saying. This is very different from 10 out of 10 from Didier Minot, 2020. It's funny, moving, inspiring, culturally educational, and simply very cool. It had no big budget, no big stars, no ego. It has no weakness. Every scene is worth watching. Something us Aussies should be very proud of.
Cool.
Okay.
See that? You see that?
You see that?
Okay. So, guys, how about our little Lebowski Urban Achievers?
Let's go.
Patreon.com/confused breakfast. Join the party. You get to put a review on the show.
Join the party, join the show.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. It's
That's
that
our
easy,
motto.
guys. That's our motto. Join the party, join the show.
We just came up with it.
That's new to all of us.
It's pretty cool.
Devin Carlisle, thanks for jumping in, bro. I'm always a fan of a road movie, but a close second is Fish Out of Water. It's a Fish Out of Water film.
Okay.
This may be my favorite. Paul Hogan is about as charming, endearing, and lovable as one could get. Then there's Linda Kozlowski. Linda Kozlowski, walking, talking, Jesus. Linda Kozlowski.
Yeah.
I was already a mud kid. You and me both, brother. Well, no, we wouldn't have played together. I'm not a mud kid. I wasn't a mud kid. I was already a mud kid. But watching this at a young age, I rarely ventured into the woods without a blade and only a vest to cover my upper torso. From that point on, Nostalgic 10, currently at 8.1. I absolutely love it. Again, Linda Kozlowski. Devin Carlisle, ladies and gents.
Hell
Little
yeah,
Lebowski,
man.
Urban Achievers.
Just goes to show that they know what they're talking about pretty much more than anybody else.
right
does.
here.
Well, boys, there's something I want to get off my chest. We love our fans so much, obviously. I mean, that's the only reason we're here.
Duh.
But a lot of times they make recommendations to us. They slide in our DMs and they're like, you should listen to this podcast. I always give them a listen, and then I come to the same conclusion. That's not a podcast. This is a podcast.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Wow. Except for, the ones that are good.
Nope. Scene 1. Sue Charlton is a writer for Newsday. She travels to Walkabout Creek, a small township in the Northern Territory of Australia, to meet the legendary Michael J. Crocodile Dundee. She's entertained at the local pub by Dundee's business partner, Wally. Dundee arrives to the pub and tries to impress Sue. Do you mind, Sean?
Go ahead, man.
This is a moment that we can talk about how much I love the 80s.
Okay.
This immediate drop into the movie. We're like here's the backstory of why you should be interested. This establishes, hi, I'm a super rich journalist, and I'm in a big like city posh high rise in Sydney, which again kind of demonstrates how much money used to be in newspapers. Like newspapers are very close to bankruptcy right now.
Yeah,
they would not send someone to Australia and put them in a high rise apartment. But this establishes that she's rich, she's hoity-toity. You're seeing the hustle and bustle of New York and Sydney, and then boom, in the bush, outback of Australia, with the greatest music I've ever heard in the 80s. Like, this is so awesome.
I'll tell you, man, like I sat down to watch this. I rented it on YouTube for $3.27, and it started, and I didn't even have my beer cracked yet. And I'm like, well, wait. What'd she say? I gotta take my notes. Like, what's going on? Like, it was right in, and I gotta give it up to it. Like, I guess I kind of agree with you in some points when you say you don't like intro credits and everything that. But yeah, man, I mean, I guess you just get right into it. And why the fuck not? Like, I am a fan of a movie that shows an hour and 30 minutes.
And we've had a lot in a row, and it's been awesome.
I started this at 10 p.m. on a weekday. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, oh, this is fine. I can get this done.
Yeah, it's like an hour 37, I think, is how long this movie is, and because it pops up when you hit play, and it kind of pops up at the bottom, the cursor thing at the bottom. It's like 1:37. I'm like, fuck yeah,
and that includes 5 minutes of outro credits.
Yeah, so 7 minutes.
So
shaved off.
Yeah, you're like intro credits and the ending. Like, I'm at a 1:30. This is perfect. And the same way, if I'm starting a movie after 10 o'clock, it's like, oh man, if it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, fuck me.
Yeah.
But this is perfect. It drops you right in, and the music is guiding you the whole way. It's so good. Was that good? All right.
I mean, you were good.
I actually almost included this song in our top 5 musical moments in movies.
Dude,
it would be the song at the end, which is kind of the same song as the song at the beginning, but I didn't because I knew it was coming up. This soundtrack's iconic to me.
Yeah?
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's in my DNA.
Sure.
Like, I've just heard it so many times. I love it.
it's one that always, like, once you hear it, you're just like, oh, Crocodile Dundee. Yeah. But there are points where I can't like re-verbalize it to you. I can only do that little bit like that, and then everything else. But if I hear it, I know it's Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, exactly.
And I
and
love
this is already an interesting story too, where like they give you the little nugget that she gets, or like that she gives her husband,
boyfriend slash boss.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Nepotism.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My daddy owns the company.
Yeah.
But you get this like little nugget of just like, yeah, I'm gonna. There's a story of this guy who got bit by a crocodile, and he like disposed of, like, right? Is that what it is?
It's a legend that she got wind of that he was attacked while
and then
fishing.
he just kind of disappeared.
Well, no, that he got attacked and then made his way back to town and told everyone what happened.
Okay,
And,
so
but
a legend.
Yeah.
And Sean, I think you're right. I think the question that I never had as a kid that I never understood was like, okay, so Wally, is essentially like selling this story. You know, like we're realizing here that none of this actually really happened to Mick. Like Mick, there's the legend is his leg got bit off.
Right.
That he like was only fishing, but it turns out he was poaching and he didn't really get his leg bit off. But like Wally's selling this because he runs a safari business. So he got this story out to them somehow to get her to show up to pay $2,500 in 1986 to a guy in the country.
I didn't gather any of that.
Right. Well, and I didn't as a kid either. But
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to imply is that he even says, like, Walt even says he's not normally like this when they get into the bar scene. And so I don't know, like, is that true? Like, is he just putting on a front because he was told to put on a front because this newspaper story is going to be about him and it's going to boost their safaris? Or like, it's kind of there's some unanswered questions.
I think that's a fair question for sure.
Right.
But I do think that Paul Hogan Dundee is just this charismatic, and Wally knows what he kind of has.
Yeah. He's his marketing guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's his hype man essentially,
Basically.
and he puts him out there to get these stories out. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But like what I'm saying is like to get the audience in on this as well. and not have any intro credits or anything like that, or maybe not even know anything what this movie is about whatsoever. It's just like, yeah, this guy's a legend. He took down a huge crocodile and just kind of told everyone about it, and now no one knows really anything about him. So I'm going to go find out. I'm like, I'm in.
All right.
Yeah.
Write the story,
I would
Sue.
read this story.
Yeah.
That's by the way, that's over $7,000 in today's money that she just paid him, and he's kind of nervous but adamant about it up front to get that money. So you're right.
This is the most money he's ever been paid.
To a degree, Sue is probably like saving his business for like the next like 4 months, like 3 months.
Every time we call back to Wally, he's not out with new customers. He's in the pub.
He's
like, this is awesome.
It's true.
You know,
and then when he says, hey, I'm going to stick around, or they want to take me to New York, he's like, well, okay, well, I'm there. It's going to cost them. And he's like, yeah, sure.
Oh,
this is great.
Yeah, take him out there. So it's really funny to just kind of, I mean, hey, look, Australia, right? It's a big, huge island, essentially, full of criminals. All right.
It really is.
So
Still is.
You know,
19 crimes, you know.
19, am I right?
We all spend $10 a bottle of wine.
They're all trying to con everybody, you know? It's just like awful stereotype. No, anyways. But that's what's kind of funny about this. It's one big story after the other. Did he go out? Was he fishing, aka poaching? All that's very true. He did get attacked by an alligator. We see the scar. It's a pretty bad accident, like thing for that to happen. It did happen. He did have to crawl. He did have to get his way back. Way exaggerated to the point of like Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is basically what I'm understanding at this point.
Yeah,
and it's fun.
It is. It is a lot of fun. And like you bring up a good point in the beginning of this whole episode where it's just like a double kind of fish out of water.
Double reverse.
It's I mean, I think we should coin that.
The double reverse.
Reverse fish out of water.
Where the two people get to take turns being fish out of water.
I really didn't realize that at first, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's all about Dundee. No, it's about her in the beginning, and there's a good portion of that.
It's like half and half.
This is my favorite portion of the movie, to be honest. We'll get to that, but I like how when she gets there, the first they land,
Wally.
and dude, like. The helicopter is knocking over all the chickens. I felt really bad. Like the wind of the helicopter is like there's chickens running around. It's like, oh,
Wally brushes his hair before the helicopter lands, and then just goes.
He's like, call me. She says his proper name. He's like, call me Walter, because we're really informal in the bush. And I just want to say, look out for my memoir entitled "Informal in the Bush: A Pussy Slayer's Journey." That'll be out in like 2050.
At this point, you might as well write it now because you've had your last.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
That's very true.
It's
Yeah,
an
you're
autobiography.
Right. But even like getting into this bar too, I'm like, oh, this reminds me of American Werewolf in London. Just like that much of a fish out of water of them two going into that weird bar. You know, it is like a culture shock right away. You know,
I want to hang out in that pub.
And I don't know if Paul Hogan, what he was saying was true, like that Americans didn't really know Australian culture right away. This maybe has introduced it to them.
I think so. It's the first time I ever had any reference in my life towards Australia and what they look like and what the bush look like. And I mean, for real.
Aboriginals look
like culture of Australia, you know, like modern, what would have been modern day culture idea, whatever, of being in Australia.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you think about like, oh, we had some Australian movies like Mad Max. Well, that's like a desolate, like, you know, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
That's
what
not
is
the
it?
same
What
thing.
is it actually
What's it
like?
actually like?
That's a good point.
And I think it's kind of interesting because, you know, Australia seems like a place I would like to hang out.
Yes,
other than
you would.
all the things that can actually kill you very easily.
Giant spiders.
Giant spiders, snakes that will just
Wolf Creek serial killers.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who quote this movie on the daily.
And I love that, but at the same time, I like the push and pull of being the outback and then also the city, like Sydney, Australia.
It's great.
It's awesome.
If you woke up in Sydney tomorrow, you would not think you're in Australia. It's one of the most gorgeous big cities in the entire world.
See, I've
spent some time there. It's incredible.
I would love to go. But I do really like this, and I think I really like her. I'll pull it back for just a second because I do like kind of the banter. We get a little bit between her and who we assume is the boss. Then we get a little bit of how there is more of a relationship there. And I like that she goes from this city and she really wants to have this experience out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, she is trying to get this other story, I think. But I think there's also personal motive. She wants to go out there and like experience this to a degree. That's the way I felt.
Yeah,
about
she wants
it.
to see if she can handle
I think it's
it.
good motive, before she goes back to the big city.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can we talk about Linda Kozlowski? Because
Yeah.
I think in your reviews, people said that she's terrible.
Well, some people didn't like her.
I think she's great. What do you guys think?
I really like her performance.
She's fantastic. I mean, like she really is good in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, she like I had this note. I'm like, she literally looks like a cross between Sharon Stone and Annette Bening.
Yeah,
Good call.
100%.
I was like, whoa.
I know.
And she didn't really do much after this, right?
Well, she ended up marrying Crocodile Dundee.
Paul Hogan.
Like
yeah.
they basically were watching their like actual romance happen on screen.
Oh,
here.
so that chemistry is just like
yeah
on fire and in camera.
They got married. I don't think she did. I mean, she was in the other Crocodile Dundee movies, but I think she kind of didn't care at this point.
He's going to do his thing. I'm just going to
think so.
take care of the family.
I think they had a child too, so maybe she was just staying at home. Maybe
right
who knows?
on, man. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. There was a moment that I've seen this movie 50 times in my life that I never noticed. The helicopter lands, she gets out, talks to Wally, he gets her stuff, puts the stuff in the car, she gets in the car. Did you see they literally just turned a corner and then they were at the pub? This is like an Ace Ventura on the boat moment where he gets in the water on the little raft and he goes he just goes over the water.
like 6 feet.
I've never noticed that in my entire life. They literally could have just walked over there.
Yeah, welcome to Walkabout Creek. It's
There
like
it is.
We're in a western. Like, what are we doing here? This
I
is
see the sign right over there. No, I'll
I got to
taxi
show you around
over
the
there.
town.
like, who's the sheriff and who's Black Bart who's going to come riding into town? Like, what's going on? I do have to ask, though, about this. Like, Crocodile Dundee, he doesn't necessarily seem to know that she is going to be here right away. Or, like, right?
Or is this part of the shtick?
Because, well, here, this is why I asked.
Okay.
Is because he does this whole, like, bit with the crocodile. And it's like, what if she wasn't there?
That's
It's
why.
like
That's why I think she was there.
Everyone else is just like, oh god, there's Mick doing the crocodile thing again. It's like maybe he is just crazy.
No, this is all staged and planned. It happens to everybody that books the tour. In fact, he's outside right now. He's going donk, donk. He's like, I got the. Is she here? He's like, yeah, she's here. He goes, okay. He goes, okay, clear everybody out. I'm going to do the knife throw.
The knife
Everybody's
throw.
And they're, oh!
It's
You're
kind of like when you're in a bar and like the wedding party comes in. And
Yeah.
you're just trying to chill with like your girlfriend or your buddies or something like that. And you're just like, yeah, we
we just got married. Bar crawl.
They're doing their they each got their own bit and stuff. That's fun. Yeah,
there they
okay.
are again doing their thing.
Yeah, wow.
Well, at least get
And
some
you're
free
like,
beer
you
out
have
of
to
this.
like lean in because you're trying to have a conversation. Like, no, but yeah, seriously, like I think prices are hiked for sure.
No, the gas prices are high.
Prop for me, please.
Ooh, here's a prop.
Cyril the Croc,
You want that croc?
right above here.
Cyril
Like,
the
just
Croc.
kinda-
would we float him on a shelf? Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Just like
Okay.
right up here. Yeah.
Stuffed.
Yeah.
All right. I want Crocodile Dundee's hat. I feel like I've entered a stage in my life where I'm going to wear more like traditional hats.
Okay.
And like the teeth on there really reminds me of my childhood of collecting shark tooth necklaces from Florida. So I want to wear his hat. I think I can pull it off.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I think I just have to take the obvious, and that's his knife.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the knife of all knives.
Paul
is.
Hogan got to take one home like after it was all done, like one of the kind of real ones, the steel ones. There was like steel, there was like rubber, there was like
right.
aluminum. There are a lot of different types of knives, but it's a knife.
You know,
Yeah.
no, we all carry pocket knives. Like that's
Yeah.
just like I've carried a pocket knife for like a decade now. I like having it.
You know, some people like rocks. I like knives, and I just want to. I kind of have a thing for them.
But when he's
This
There you
is
go.
not a knife.
no.
that's not
When he's
That is a knife.
When you have to take your knife off to sit down, that's when you know it's a knife.
correct.
And just carrying it around that little like leather sheath.
Yeah.
like, oh,
if you
it's
need
so
a sheath for your
badass.
knife, that's a knife.
Yeah.
that he's like Crocodile Dundee. He was like, oh man, I need a. He got that thing in from like Amazon restaurant or something, right? And then he ordered it up. He's like, I didn't get a sheath. But then he just went and killed a crocodile to go and make a sheath for his
He
knife.
used the knife to kill a crocodile
yeah.
to make a sheath.
But
for
to
it.
make a sheath.
Australia's Amazon.com is the Outback.
The Outback.com. Not to be confused with Outback Steakhouse.
Exactly.
which
I-
is closed.
I did try to find Foster's for us, but the two places I went, they didn't have it.
Well, listen, when I went to Australia, of course, I was like, Foster's, right? And they're like, no.
Absolutely not.
No, it's not even made here.
What
are
they
you
give
talking
you?
about? Like Victoria bitters, probably.
Oh,
I was
okay.
18, and that was the legal drinking age, so I think it was Victoria beer.
My
And I drove a car wrong side of the road and proper steering wheel on the right side of the car. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I this is just my PSA. Go to Australia. I mean, I went from Sydney all the way up the coast to Cairns, up at the northeast point, Great Barrier Reef. Stayed on an outback farm for a couple days.
Cairns is in Australia?
Cairns, Cairns.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cairns.
Canada, I think is.
Yeah.
It's a film festival.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's beautiful. Go there. In
Yeah.
fact, anybody Australia out there listening, like set us up a tour and we will come over there.
We know
will
you're out there.
100% do it.
You've called in before. We know you exist. Let's go.
My
It's like your
parents,
duty right now as a fan of movies that lives in Australia to listen to this episode.
Yeah.
It's like part of your national thing that you have to do. So we know you're listening. So
Yeah.
let's do it.
Sick.
And Victoria, I think it is Victoria Bitters because
think so.
my parents brought me back a little wall clock.
Yeah.
When they went to Australia.
Oh, no
Victoria.
way.
Yeah. I should bring that in here.
Yeah,
for
you
this.
should.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll bring it in, guys.
Like these Australians look like they all have spray tanner on. Like I know they don't, but I'm still concerned. Like he's gonna get bronze on her white shirt
I know.
the entire time because like he asked her to dance and
That's
everything.
natural, bro.
It's just like whoa.
natural bronzer of that just kind of secretes from Paul Hogan. Is that what it is? They all look very rough and tumble, and like the fact that he can just as we get into it start drinking people under the table and just nothing bothers him. I just believe it because of the way he carries himself, and then watching this whole bar scene happen.
Like, you
Donk.
don't mess with Donk.
No, you do
You
not.
remember the famous line in number 2?
Yes.
I for some reason thought it was still in this one,
Yeah.
but it's like the short guy's sitting there. Have you ever seen number 2 before?
I don't vaguely.
He's
I don't know.
he's sitting in a chair and one of these bad guys comes up on him. Is like, and he's got a beer. He's drinking a beer, and the bad guy's like, "You should have brought a gun." He goes, "I don't need a gun.
I don't need a gun.
I got a donk."
I've
And he
got
goes,
a
"What's a donk?" And Donk comes. He goes, "This is a donk." Boom! Like it's fucking awesome.
I just love that line so much. I used to think as a kid like Donk and that guy were like other bad guys.
Nope, they're friends.
Then I watched it again. I was like, oh, they're good guys.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I want a donk too.
Well, I do like how he like gets in a fight with them. Like he's just the most charming person. He's dancing with her, and like this guy's talking shit, obviously, and gets in a fight with them and just goes back to dancing. But then like I bet the next day they would have a beer together. Like they've gotten in fights before, like this is kind of like the culture of Australia, especially this Bushman Australia.
well, not this guy. These guys that are at the
Save
table,
it.
these are big city poachers
They're
that are just
yes.
in town on a safari causing trouble. So no, they deserved it.
That's right.
They're the
Yeah.
ones that shoot the kangaroos.
We'll
later.
stop.
They're
We'll
the-
talk about spotlighting.
Cool.
they're
later.
the other. They're like this is from like the rival safari. This is like
Yeah.
the bad guys safari. So
this
not
is the-
Walter's. This is probably like Gavin's or Gary's.
Definitely Gary's.
This
yeah.
is like Walters is the good burger, and then
Right.
they are the whatever burger.
Right. Wally's Average Joe's, and this other guy like Globo
Globo
Jim. Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Well, scene 2, the next day, they set out into the bush so she can see firsthand Mick's incredible survival stories. Sue becomes impressed at Dundee's skills, including subduing a water buffalo, taking part in an aboriginal ceremony, and fighting off kangaroo poachers. This is like a super impressive trick with the water buffalo, but at the same time, now we got to wait for him to wake up to drive around him.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Didn't quite understand that
An
one.
old Bushman's trick. He's literally Siegfried and Royding this fucking
Yeah.
water buffalo guy. Like what is this?
It's impressive, whatever he did.
You can't tell me that she hasn't seen that in Las Vegas like 700 times.
Come
you
on,
know?
with
Like,
tigers, with animals way more, with animals that have water buffalo on their menu.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, it is impressive. But I
But
mean,
he just lays down. Then what do we do?
yeah, you're just like, oh, all right. So we'll just wait. Anyways,
He's still in the way.
That's what I said. Like they didn't even do anything, man.
he just like drives over it like
Very slowly. Like some Pixar movie.
I do love his charm, though, guys. Like, I remember laughing so hard at that as a kid. I had to have someone explain it to me when I was young, but when he grabs Wally's hand and looks at the time,
oh my god,
Oh yeah.
and then real quick goes
2:20.
2:20. Like that is just such a genius move.
Yeah.
But also charming. Like he understands the assignment.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't actually know how to tell time. Nor does he care. That thing that Wally says, like, he goes, I'll meet you Monday. Monday? Yep, right on Monday. Hey, Walt, what day is it today? He's like, it's Friday. Okay. You're like, doesn't know, doesn't care. It's like, I truly believe he doesn't own a watch, doesn't care what time it is, but he has to pretend like he knows these things.
And Wally's like, best bushman there ever was, doesn't know what day it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. I think it's just about the perception of who he's with, not because he knows what he needs to know. But the problem is that other people need to believe that you know what you need to know.
That you know more.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's like this perception that if he can look up at the sun and say, it's 2:20, we better get going, then she'll be like, wow.
Because as Americans, like, we need to know what time it is.
Yes, all the time.
So she is assuming that he needs to know what time it is
Yes.
to get through his day, but
Listen,
he doesn't.
Ladies like to know that you know what time it is, okay? That's why they like you wearing a wristwatch. We all have wristwatches on right now, you know? People like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that I could look up at the sun without a wristwatch on and tell you what time it is. What do you guys think? Do you guys
I think
you
I
could?
come within an hour.
At least in Iowa.
I think
come
I
within
get
an
close.
hour.
Yeah.
You got to know what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to know what time of year it
That's
is.
true.
I think I can come within an hour.
You feel the temperature and you look up at the sun, you're like, it's about 5:20.
The problem is you're never going to be able to have that moment in your life where you have not seen a cell phone, a clock, or a wristwatch for an entire day.
Yeah.
You're never going to be in that situation.
Very true.
Because you know what? Like, we could go outside right now. It's 1:37. Let's go outside and figure out what time it is by looking at the sun. You know? I just looked at it.
Well, I could get you within an hour because Mike told me it was 1:37.
Okay, you guys could come within an hour. That's all I picked up from this conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's good. You don't want it to last too long.
If an hour is 30 seconds. Sorry.
Well, so then you get into this. We meet David Gilpillo, Nev. Did you read much about him at all?
I read a little bit.
Like he was an actual, like, very well known Aboriginal tribesman,
dancer.
Yeah, and dancer or something like that.
Apparently, he was like one of the premier, like, dance. I don't know what we
He
call
said
it.
most famous, acclaimed tribal dancers of all time in Australia.
Yeah, and he put this whole kind of scene together.
It's so great.
This is one of my favorite, like, little interactions that they definitely have is when Nev kind of sneaks up on them, but then Dundee sneaks up on him, and then it's a good joke. Like, I understand why this is cheesy, but at the same time, I think it's funny, and it only works because of the way. Is the moment when he says, he's like, oh, you can't take my picture. It's like, oh, you think it'll take your soul? He's like, no, you got the lens cap on.
I think it's awesome.
I think it's hilarious.
He's great.
It would be washed over in the sense of, like, a movie like Airplane, right?
Yes.
It would be a 1-2 step and you're out. Where this is kind of funny. They do linger for it a little bit, and I think it's fun. And I like that they Mick kind of joins in, and this gives some more great context. They do their context is so well laid out in this movie. Like, giving context along the way, it for me, it just, I don't know. For me, it seems like this would normally feel heavy-handed. But when he's saying things like, well, or she asks him, how does he find his way in the dark? And he's like, well, he thinks his way. Like, he kind of gives us background on, like, the Aborigine people, and, like, you know, it's just great.
I do like how they include that, and
Yeah.
and David Gallipoli, Gallipoli,
Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Dave. He's in a bunch of movies, you know, like the Proposition. He's very highly featured in. I love that movie, directed by John Hillcoat. Screenplay by Nick Cave, actually, who also did the
The Bad Seeds.
Yeah, Nick Cave, and he also did the script for that movie, which is an excellent movie. But he's in that. He's really good. I do like how they kind of, because you don't really know that Australia was like more Aboriginal, like these people and their tribe and everything like that, and then this happened to them, kind of, pretty much, almost exactly like America.
One of the things, I'm going to keep pointing this out, one of the things that people are all up in arms about this movie, modern day, is people hate this interaction so much. They hate this when says, well, you see, Aborigines don't own the land. They belong to it. It's like their mother. You see those rocks? They've been standing there for over 600 million years, still be there when you and I are gone. So arguing over who owns them is like two fleas arguing over who owns the dog they live on. People are up in arms about that quote because they're like, you're comparing natives to fleas. It's like, no, did you fucking listen to this?
No.
They're actually speaking way more importantly about why they don't want to own the land.
Yes.
Than you saying, no, they need to own the land. We took it from them. It's like, shut the fuck up and listen to the story.
They're saying it's not anybody's.
Yes.
It's just not anybody's. It's not any humans.
Here's where your argument is living. And you didn't decide to go any deeper where it actually is.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Well, you decided to fulfill your agenda and go this way with it. Yeah.
Yes. You took your own perception of what they're saying, and then you just decided to like basically die on that hill.
Whereas I feel like
this is a much deeper conversation about how there's not an ownership. There shouldn't be an owner. They don't believe in that sort of thing. Like, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
We belong here just like anybody.
We can't own it.
Yeah.
You can't own it. I can't own it. We don't own it.
How do people own land?
Yeah.
How do you own air? How do you own water? Like, how do you
They
do
don't
that?
want
yeah,
to.
we
Like-
just decided that as a culture
Yeah.
and as humans, and they're just like, no, it's not anybody's. It's just like the Earth's, and we just are here, gratefully here
Yes.
to be a part of it. I
It's
think
so dumb
I think
to
that actually you could turn that around and make a lot of peace with that.
That's
kind
what
of
I'm
argument.
saying. That's a beautiful sentiment.
I think it's great.
There's another one too that the main argument that a lot of people are mad about with the second Crocodile Dundee is where he's on a ledge. A guy's thinking about committing suicide. A man is, and Dundee's trying to help him. And the guy says, "Yeah, have you ever been like, no, the person you love the most in the world doesn't love you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get it, man." And the guy then implies that he's gay. He goes, "Yeah, he's not worth it." And Dundee goes, "What?" Like it took him by surprise that he was talking about a man. And Dundee slips and almost falls to his own death. And the guy leaves. And then Dundee gets back up. And people are like, he was gonna save him till he found out he was gay, and then he didn't want to save him. Like, do people even watch fucking movies?
Do you actually watch
people
movies?
actually watch movies? I don't understand outrage, and I will defend this movie forever. Like, come at me, bro. Like, you can't look at a movie 40 years old and say, nope, you just can't do it. You can't do it. You're not allowed to say, well, no, never mind. Fuck that movie.
Well, we said it before on the podcast too. Like, we'll get to it in the later kind of scenes here that we have with like the trans people. But like it's just a part of its time, and especially being an Australian, they probably didn't see that much, especially in 1980s. I can't speak for that really 100% as I can in America.
Sean Michael J. Crocodile Dundee has lived in a town of 30 people his entire life.
It's been man and woman.
There has never been a gay person that anyone has known about in that town. It's okay for him to be like, what?
Yeah, it's just the kind of the way it is, and like he doesn't make a big deal out of it.
No,
We'll get to it.
Oh, we'll get to it. I just had to bring that one up. But then you get...
No, I mean, like, people watch these movies and just be like, oh, what can I get offended at?
What can I get offended
at?
That's
it.
You watch it inside of your own echo chamber, your own little cocoon of things that I could be upset about. I'm going to be upset about.
Well, and for
like,
whoever watches this and gets upset about that, you are currently doing something that in 40 years we're going to look badly upon.
Yeah.
That is not bad right now. You're doing it. In 40 years, we're going to be like, oh, like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And guess what? In 1986, that was just how it was.
Yeah.
And then we moved on and learned from some
And we've
stuff.
been better.
And we get better.
And like now we can look back on these things and be like, we have gotten better, and thankfully we are here where we're at.
Yes. And this kangaroo scene's pretty great too, like, because I always enjoyed this as a kid, because you're like, poor kangaroos, and he kind of grotesquely grabs the dead kangaroo and puts a gun under it and starts shooting at them. But that's pretty ridiculously impressive for him to be shooting directly at these people and perfectly hitting lights, hitting headlights, hitting lamps, pretending like a kangaroo.
Yeah.
So,
He may be like a conservationalist, like as he's kind of implied in this movie, but he sure uses a lot of dead crocodiles and dead kangaroos to kind of get his point across.
He does. Also, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Australia, you can correct me if I'm wrong too. And I'm not, this is not in any sense of like the condoning of what's happening, right? They're basically, those guys are out spotlighting poaching kangaroos to a degree.
It's a big thing there.
Now, Dundee says like, well, there's no law against that. Is there not?
kangaroos are sort of like deer.
They're like deer here,
Yeah,
right?
That's
what I was going to say.
They're wow, it's so cool. And actually, kangaroos are incredible. If you go to like more of a zoo thing in Australia, to be able to see them, it's just like wow. I've never seen anything like
and
this
they'll
before.
kick the shit out of you.
But yeah,
too.
in the wild, you do not touch a kangaroo. You do not fuck with it.
Yeah.
And they destroy farmland. They're a nuisance, kind of
Yeah.
like deer is over here. So like, that's why he doesn't care.
Yeah.
That they're doing that.
Yeah.
It is like it's like I get it. I get like it's not great, especially if you're coming in and you're kind of certainly new to this world, like she is, and it's not great to see them just like killing these things for fun, like in the middle of the night. That being said, there's also a point where there are seasons around in Iowa that deer become so thick and they're such a nuisance that they have a doe season that they're like, we need to thin this out.
$14,000 of damage on my trailer
Like,
the other day.
There you
Thanks,
go.
deer.
It's like, yeah, they become like real problems and stuff. Now, obviously, they're on the way in the outback. It's not the same thing. I'm not saying it's the same thing.
Sure.
I am just saying it's
Hey!
like it's well.
Whose land is this?
Yeah.
You compared them to fleas.
Yeah, get him.
Cancel.
But like at the same time, I do think it's a bad thing, especially when I was a kid watching this. I was
Yes.
like, no, don't kill them. They're kangaroos. They're like, well,
That
man,
shot of the kangaroo with the big hole in it, you're like,
You're like,
Yeah.
man, this is brutal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this to keep going either. I'm glad he did something about it.
Even when Paul Hogan says like this, I want this to be the first like Australian film, I think he's wrong. And like, there's a movie called Wake and Fright with Donald Pleasance in it as well, and it's really kind of all about this, where this guy is kind of a fish out of water. He's from England and he's in this land that he doesn't know about, and like he's kind of doing a walkabout-ish kind of thing. But like in that movie, they show kangaroos getting killed for real and like a spotlighting kind of thing. And it's very shocking, and it's like not really, I like we've said on the podcast before, I really hate watching animals die. Like with anything, like they're just so innocent, and I can watch a human die all day, I guess, but I guess when animals happen, it's weird for
I
me.
agree.
I don't know if that says something about me, but like in that movie Wake and Fright, that movie deserves it because it's like kind of showing what it is like in Australia. It's showing on film what it's like, and it makes more of a mark on you. It makes like the movie, it impacts you in your soul a little bit more. Like that's why that movie sticks around with me. And not saying it's wrong or right, just saying that's the part of the culture, and that's what they're portraying in this. And I think this movie does it really well. Like if Paul Hogan wants to have America see what Australia is really like, I think he did an all right job.
It's a terrible thing. I mean, especially if you just have folks who are like in it for this thrill idea.
And that's usually what it is.
And that's
there's a group of people on a truck just shooting things.
That's the difference, right? Of like when we were talking about like the deer here in Iowa, and then like over there, it's like it's licensing over here. People, it happens, I'm sure, but going over there, going for like a big game idea of like, oh, let's go kill an elephant.
Yeah.
Let's go kill a giraffe.
Woo!
And let's just go into the wild and just shoot a bunch of kangaroos. I just want to shoot some shells. That's all I want to do. It's
Let's
like
see how my gun performs.
it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, now you're a piece of shit. All right.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's move on to scene 3. So the next morning, Sue goes out alone to prove she's tough. Mick saves her from a large crocodile that attacked her near the water. Sue invites Mick to return with her to New York City on the pretext of continuing the feature story. Wally scoffs, but then pushes Mick to go due to the money involved. They board a plane to New York. I'll tell you one thing I did remember. I definitely remembered something, and then I definitely misremembered something.
Okay.
Number one, I remember seeing Linda in this swimsuit.
Right.
Just remember it like it was yesterday, being like, I don't understand why I want to watch this, but I want to watch this.
Yeah, you're just like,
Yeah.
when you're
Because she goes off on her own and decides to get in the water.
Goes off on her own.
Yep.
and
yeah, she just
decides
goes
to
out there.
Hey, now I misremember something. I think I've got a bit of a Mandela effect going here because I thought it was a hippo that comes out of the water.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And I realized I came to terms with the fact that I never actually watched this scene because I was scared shitless of that crocodile coming out of the water and attacking her.
Yeah.
It was terrifying to me as a kid.
Well, you got to think, like, not only is it terrifying, would it be terrifying if it was something like Cyril? Did you see the size of that thing?
It's huge.
It was like what he was talking about attacked him originally.
Not cool.
18-foot long crocodile. No.
Whatever got chubs.
Whatever got chubs.
Yeah.
Probably its bigger cousin.
Well,
True.
and the graphic description that is stuck in your head for the rest of your life of what a crocodile does to you.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And he does it so charmingly. As like I've never seen a death roll be described so like, oh my god, I want to fuck you.
I
right
want a
now.
death roll.
Elegant.
What's a death roll?
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh, do that.
Is
to
that like
me.
a cinnamon
Ooh,
roll?
let's go have a death roll in the bush. Ooh. All right. All right.
Manscaped?
Yeah. Yeah. But he does. He's talking about like kind of the gruesome end of this, and then he takes you down to basically his meat locker.
Yeah.
Stuffs
He
you
just
in
want to
there,
eat you now.
tenderizes you a bit,
Gross.
and it's just like woof, bruh.
It is. It is brutal.
You know,
And, like,
thinking back to those kangaroos, that seems like a pretty nice way to go.
like she gets like she thinks she has something on her ass or whatever, and Neville comes over and he's like, Neville, now's not a great time. I was just about to look at this chick's brown eye.
Yes.
So if you would just leave for me, please. Like, I don't know. Like what she's got actively a boyfriend in New York.
Actively,
know.
yes.
We will talk about this a little bit more when they eventually kiss coming right up.
Is
but-
this the moment where she's falling for Mick in a way of like, wow, it's just so charming. But he saves her life, and I think this is it, right? I mean, this is the moment where she's like, I'm going to sleep with you.
You got to think about. I mean, she does owe it to him.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
All right, listen, everything that I said earlier, you can't cancel us from everything I said earlier, but now you can.
Now you can.
I mean, seriously, if you think about it,
come
like,
on.
I killed a crocodile for your ass, literally, so you need to give me your ass, all right?
I just literally saved your life.
That's just how it works.
I saved your ass, now I own your ass.
Yeah. And
Like
so,
2 fleas.
like 2 fleas.
Good job, AJ.
Yeah, just doing everything I can these days, guys. No, it's
See how far we can get,
it's one of those things. It does become a very very romantic moment.
Yeah.
That, he is this jokester kind of a guy, and I think even before this, we see him just like casually like snag that
the
King
snake.
Brown,
Yeah.
and he just like. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not right. But, and she's just like, what the fuck
Was that poisonous?
that?
Yeah, if he bites you, you could die.
Oh,
in
yeah,
you could die
deadly.
in like 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah, those things are terrible.
That smile he does when he goes to sleep there, did you catch that?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Because she gets scared and kind of cuddles up to him a
Yeah.
little bit, and he goes,
yeah, got it.
it's pretty good.
Because it's like he just can't help himself.
No,
right?
of course not.
Because it's just
this is the most beautiful woman
Yeah.
that has ever been seen by his eyeballs by at least 4 to 5 points on
Red
the 10
lipstick?
scale.
I don't know if
Yeah.
they have that in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the first time. And he's just like, but I love the moment where it's like after the whole snake thing, and he's just like, he still says, "Wait, what was that? I heard something."
No, nothing.
No, it's probably not.
What the fuck are you talking about?
No. Well, good night.
I didn't hear anything.
Brilliant.
I didn't
move.
hear anything, and you're an experienced bushman out in these wilds,
Right.
out in the bush, and you just heard something
Yeah.
that I did not hear, and you're just going to casually go to sleep on the floor?
Yeah, it's like, did you even put like a beach towel down? Like, what the heck? Like,
Like even when I was in grade school, they gave us towels with our names on them to take a nap.
Yeah. Like some sort of woven mat. I don't know.
I'll tell you what though, if I had been in Australia and I had just almost been killed by a 20-foot crocodile that came out of water, like it scared the shit out of me. I don't care what you say about mineral water. I'm not getting in there and swimming.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
This is like 2 minutes later. They're like, you can swim here. It's mineral water.
No matter how beautiful it is, no matter how not murky it is, I
No.
don't care.
oh, look at this mineral water. Yes, put it on me. Ah! And then you're dead.
Yeah, then you die.
That's it. No, I do like this moment between them.
It is nice.
And you know, he's taking care of her, and it's like the joke's over at this point. I mean, for somebody to go through that, like, and he's, you know, so I think it's actually a very nice moment that you really do kind of see their relationship kind of build off of this. Very
before
much.
this, even though it's like with an active rifle that she just shoots at his feet, I do like how she's like, no, I can take care of this. You know, I can go off on my own, and she does until like an act of nature stops her, and he has to like he's keeping an eye on her and tracking her the whole time or whatever, which is cute and fun. But I do think like she's like, to our talk earlier, I think she just kind of wanted this for the story, but also to see if she could do it.
Right.
And she can.
It's going to be part of her story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think there is a bit of a conceitedness to her, though, being this rich
Sure.
journalist. It's like, I could do whatever you can do.
Sure.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that call out the sexism of this movie being like, oh, they had to write it in where this girl couldn't survive on her own in Australia, and she had to be saved by the man. It's like,
damsel in distress.
yes, she had to be saved by the man because she is a big city human being that has never been to Australia before.
Never experienced a crocodile attack. in her life.
Anyone that came from New York City would have to be saved by Mick Crocodile Dundee.
Any one of
would
us
have
at this
to.
table would become a damsel in distress.
Yes.
Just so happens she
Except
was a
for
woman.
Logan. Logan would be fine. But we
That's
at this
true.
table
at
would.
this table, at the kids' table over here. That is what it would be.
Oh yeah.
And
I'd be more afraid of spiders than I would crocodiles. So I would be a mark for crocodiles.
correct. Yeah.
The spider would come up to you and be like, you need some weed, bro? You want some weed, bro?
Hey,
That's from our Patreon, everybody.
I like this moment. It just if that really became an issue for people, like that
It
blows
is.
my mind. But watching him leap into action like that, I mean, like he's already barefoot. He's already like kind of, and this is kind of the he was raised by Aborigines.
He's a tracker. He can be quiet.
and he sinks that knife into that thing's head, twists it through. It's like, and it's just like, is it dead? He's like, it's not. It's really fucking hard to skin. It's like, I love that so much. I like the fact. I wish we got some insight into the aftermath while she's still pretty much in shock, and he's just like,
Ooh, a new sheath. Ooh, new
"There we
boots.
go, yeah. Ooh.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful piece of material there. Yeah, it's just like I don't know what to do with my life anymore.
Well, he does go party with Neville and the Aborigines and everything, and she's just like, okay, I guess I can't come.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll
whatever.
I'll stay here for another crocodile to attack.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome, that's great.
But I do like their kiss as well. Like this, when they're cooking the whatever kimono dragon,
yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the fuck
Yep.
it is. It's fun, but it's still like she's got a boyfriend back in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't know that.
Oh, it's like
I guess.
it's like a, you know, some people do it differently, Sean. There's some people are area code, some people are zip code, some people are country
Countries.
code.
Yeah.
You know, if we're a +1 over here and Australia is plus 86,
Whatever.
I don't know. You know, that's just what the you know. Oh, it's different area codes.
I guess there's a difference between hall pass
Right.
and like over the ocean pass.
Yeah, global entry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different.
Well, speaking of doing it, we got to do porn title for
Oh,
this
nice.
movie. Did anyone come up with a porn parody name for Crocodile Dundee?
Cockawile undies.
Cockawile Undie?
Undies, yeah.
Crocodile Grundy.
Yeah, Michael.
Crocodile Grundle.
Oh no.
Michael, our executive producer here, said Crocodile Dundee. He also said Wankabout Creek. I was thinking we could go with Cum-D or Cum-P. So like Crocodile Cum-P
Oh no.
or something like that. Is that too much?
Into some like pee porn.
Yeah.
Or like Bum-P?
Okay.
Crocodile
Okay.
Bum-P?
Oh.
Go in the number 2 area.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no.
It's a little tough, but
Yeah. Is it?
yeah.
Oh, you'll get in there.
I'm coming up with a name for this one. Yeah, okay with it.
Yeah, it's not easy. But you know what? I think we got some fights
I've been
in
meaning to
there.
ask you guys, have you guys done anal?
Oh.
That'll be on our new show that we're working on.
Scene 4?
Scene 4.
All right.
So, once in New York, Mick is perplexed by local behavior and customs. After checking
ask you
into his
guys.
hotel, he goes for a walk and then out to dinner with Sue and her boyfriend, Richard. After assaulting Richard, he goes out for drinks with his cabbie friend and meets some ladies of the night. That moment when he goes, Jesus Christ, as the plane takes off and the music changed. I don't care what year I get to New York City, but when I get to New York City, this will be the music that I play in my ears while I'm walking around New York City.
It's what you download when we tour to New York. It's what you download on the plane to
It's
New York.
exactly.
Yeah.
This music change is such a perfect way to get us out of Australia into the hustle and bustle of New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right, man. Like, I don't know. I kind of liked. I would even venture to say loved the first portion of this movie, and then when they get to New York, it just kind of changes for me.
Really?
Yeah,
I bet there's people out there that feel the opposite of you.
probably.
And that might have been more. I thought that this. I probably as a kid liked the New York part better than I did the
I can
Australia
see
part.
that.
Because it was a little scarier.
Sure.
Australia is scary.
Dirty.
Yeah.
You get to New York and you're like,
We're back home.
we're back home.
I know.
America.
I know what to do here.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
My favorite part is when he's saying hello and maybe I'll see you around to the guy who is definitely in the Warriors.
Hold on a sec.
Yes.
So
No, he was one of the.
Paul Greco.
Paul Greco,
When the limo pulls up and he goes, "Hey, good day, how are you?" And the
g'day.
guy's
He's
like,
like,
"What?"
He was
Hi,
one.
how
Of,
you
he was
doing?
one of the poor guys.
Yeah.
He was the
What were they
leader
called?
of the orphans.
The
Yes.
orphans.
Yes.
Yeah, the Porbies.
Yeah. Who cooked their food.
Orphans.
Thank God that they had that the Warriors had a Molotov cocktail because they'd never seen fire in their life.
Holy shit! Fucking magic and shit. No,
Listen to that episode.
Paul Greco, he definitely after his run-in with the Warriors, he
okay.
just made some turns around in
Nice.
his life.
Yeah.
And he was like, I gotta do something about this. I gotta live better. And
I got to
he-
get into banking or something.
Yeah, he's like, I need to get into finance. I don't know what I need to do. He's like, I need to turn around my life, and he did. And he got out of that borough of New York and went to the big city of Manhattan.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, I mean, it's proven now that the Warriors and Crocodile Dundee are in the same universe.
Oh yeah, we've heard this.
The pimp for the hookers here.
Yeah.
His name's John Schneider. He's an actor, John Schneider. He was also in the Warriors. He was the gas station attendant. At one point, you just barely see him. I think he was just a young kid.
Where finger guy.
Yes,
What
where he was on the phone.
Yes.
Where he's on the payphone. I want to say that he kind of like being a young kid working at this gas
David
station.
Patrick Kelly. Sorry.
Yeah, he was looking at him going, I kind of want that. I kind of
Yeah.
want a life of crime. So he started following into the gang
See?
culture and eventually led him into being a pimp.
There you
Man,
go.
a lot of people made it out. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of people made
A lot
it
of people
out.
made it out.
You know?
He was kind of like, nah, I want to stay in.
Yeah, I think he made it out. It kind of made it
And then
out.
he made it in.
Yeah, then he made it
Uh-huh. Slap that knee, boy.
Yeah,
in.
boy.
Cock and Wild.
Yeah.
MD. Okay.
Cockawile bum pee. There we go.
So gross.
Yeah.
No, I love these moments because he can't help. When I watched this as a kid, for some reason, it was my child literal brain that just thought, this is how you go around and you do say hello to everybody.
Yeah.
I used to think that as
This
a kid.
is great. Yeah.
And like he's just kind of walking around and he's just like, g'day, g'day, g'day. He's saying hi to somebody. He's like, oh yeah, I'll probably see you later. You will never see that person that you just passed on the street again in your life.
Especially in New York.
It's in New York. Yeah, it's like this is not a town of 500
I love it
people.
so much.
And I just love the
sentiment of that.
kind of sentiment,
Yeah.
the ignorance, kind of the innocent ignorance, if you will.
Yes.
My wife does that all the time. Like if we go on a walk, she's like, good morning to everybody that walks by. And I'm like, why do you do that? But she's Mick.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, that's just what we do. We just say hello to everybody, like.
It's very endearing.
It is,
Yeah,
completely.
I love that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some moments now when you get into New York where you really start angering the people. Right away, you get him asking a black man what
Reginald
tribe.
Vell Johnson.
Ask Reginald Vell Johnson what tribe he's a part of.
Yeah. Yeesh.
But again, like I get it looking at it in 2024, you being like, oh, what? But again, this is literally a man from a town of 30 people in the middle of Australia who the only black people he knows are his friends, the Aborigines.
Correct.
That are in different tribes.
Yeah.
And it's literally a point of understanding, not a point of like, and he's like, and you're a black fella, right?
Black fella.
He's like, yeah. It's like, well, nobody from where I'm from has an automobile like this. He must be doing pretty good, man. Like it's funny because okay, yeah, it could be taken in the idea of like, his ignorance is coming through as not conceited, but like just he's almost like in a putting down kind of a way. No, he's got a car like this. It's like he's a limo driver. It's like, no, he's stoked on your car.
He's like, damn.
And then we see after that, he's like, you got to show me under the hood of this thing. This is fucking awesome.
I love that subtle
It's just
shot
like,
of him.
you know
in
what
the
I mean?
background.
It's like,
She's
okay.
talking to like the hotel people, and he's just like, oh wow, look at this.
It's like, man, this is
Turbo Tone 420.
This is like, what you got? Edelbrock intake, Positrack, Outback.
No, you're right. They are making it as a joke, but it's not like a joke in the face of like Reginald Vell Johnson,
No.
or anything like that. It is a joke because he is so ignorant about all of this, and he's learning a new culture that he is ascribing to his culture that he just came from.
Yeah.
It's very layered, and that's the joke. If you go deep into that. But if you just like take it on face value, it's like, fuck this is racist.
Yeah. I've never actually seen the movie, but I heard that he asked a black person what tribe he's from. So this is ridiculous.
I mean,
Nice.
and I guess it's okay if you see that as as offensive and everything, but like I don't know, I just see this as like he's being good to him.
It turns out they're actually pretty good friends at the end of this movie.
Like he's not like doing this out of a malicious intent
Turns
whatsoever.
out wanting to learn more about somebody is the path
Oh, weird.
to understanding and appreciation.
It is a guarantee that Mick Dundee, if he lives in New York for a couple more years, he will have figured all of this out and understood that, oh, okay, things are different here. I don't have to ask that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He's fresh off the fucking plane. Yeah. In fact, he's about ready
A
to go.
fish out of water.
He's about ready to go on a walkabout in a city and just be frightened beyond all belief. Him standing on that post, on that light pole is like kind of an endearing moment.
Yeah.
Like he's just sort of frightened. Just standing there going, I don't know what to do.
He's like, it's a moment of like, I got to be able to see where I'm going. I can't even see where I'm going. There's so many people. I'm trying to say hi to everybody. No one's really saying hi back. Not too many people. Oh, that looks like a good vantage point. Holy cow, there's a lot of people here. How do I get across this freaking sea of cars, this river of cars? What's going on here? That's the kind of thing. And you're right. It's a very endearing moment. That cop.
It's pretty awesome.
I love when he gets dropped off. It's just, yep. Well, hey, have a good day, Mick. Yep.
Here's
hey,
your
thanks so
giant
much,
knife.
and here's your knife back. By the way, I just wanted to make sure you couldn't slit my throat, from behind. That's all.
You
I wanted.
understand, right?
But you understand. Oh yeah, no problem, mate. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, you just throw. It's great.
Makes
man.
friends with everybody where he
Makes
goes.
friends with everybody.
And I love people like that. I think we've talked about that before on the podcast where those are people that I want in my life.
Yeah.
Like, cause I am just kind of not like that where I just get to know everybody, every single person, random person in my life. I have people in my life like Carl Bush, who's been on the show before, who just gets to know every single person, or like my wife's brother. He just does that kind of thing. And it's very cool. It's very endearing. And it's a quality that I wish that I had. I just don't. And that's what's so charming about it, because I'm just not like Dundee at all. And so I like watching that. I liked being able to just kind of put myself in that situation and trying to see if I could do that, or if I wish I could be like that, But like even his hotel room, I'll be honest, it doesn't look as comfortable as their campground in Australia.
Yeah.
That's
it
a
looks
great.
It
That's
looks
a great
so
point of
plain,
view.
and so he has to make it like kind of more rugged and Dundee like. You know what I mean? It's nothing like McAllister's room in Escape from New York.
Escape from New York.
Home Alone 2, Escape from New York.
You're thinking of number 3.
Oh, sorry.
Escape from New York.
It's nothing like that. That looks nice, but this just has like a hangout room and then the bedroom and a bathroom.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And they do not make this look appealing at all to really much of any degree. They also, I love this joke of, oh yeah, television. He just doesn't watch television, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and she's like, oh, and you got a TV and everything? It's like, yeah, so-and-so had one of these. It's like a while back. Turns it on. I Love Lucy in black and white. Yep. That's what I saw. Turns it off. That's hilarious.
Well, there's certain points in the film, he's watching something else. It's like kind of like a war movie, but it's like some Major Dundee. And that's where like he got the name Dundee was from those programs. I think it was like
really?
an
Really?
Australia TV show that like a black and white
hell
TV
yeah.
show.
No kidding.
That they all watched as a sketch group. They watched and it kind of inspired this character.
That's awesome.
Well, obviously, are we calling punchable face at this point?
Yeah.
If we were on a train to go punch a face, I'm on board.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, is it Richard? That's his
deserved-
name's Richard.
He
He's a
deserved
dick.
way more than just like a subtle. Like I was shocked when he did punch him at the dinner.
Yeah.
And like I was like, oh, and he just kind of knocked him out. But I was like, he deserved way more than that.
Can you go ahead?
No, I might be. We might be going in the same route here.
Well, I was just gonna say, can you imagine also being at that restaurant and they're just like, yeah, it's a good. Do you want to try this soup? Yeah, it's good soup.
Jesus Christ!
Did you just punch that guy?
I didn't see it.
Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Did you? I think you punched
Can you
that
believe
guy.
it took us 3
He
hours?
punched that guy.
It took us 3 hours to get in.
Oh my god! I know that guy. He works at the paper.
Oh yeah, that's him, Richard,
Oh my
right?
And
God,
that's
it is
Sue.
Richard.
That's Sue.
Jesus, who the hell is this guy? He just got off a punk show. What the fuck? Like, this is exactly.
I haven't seen that much sun in my life.
Can we get our check? Can we just get this to go? I can't be here. Like, what's going on?
But Sean, to your point, like, Sue might be the one that kind of deserves this. Sue has a
Honestly,
Sue
man.
has a boyfriend that completely trusted her to go to Australia for 2 months on assignment that he was ready to propose to. That comes home with a man 18 years older than her, and now is like bringing him around everywhere. Dude, they haven't seen each other for 2 months. They want to go out to dinner, and she's like, "Well, we got to bring Mick with us."
Fuck you talking about?
No.
Leave him. What?
I
Like
mean-
this is your subject, right?
He's a total asshole, but like I think he kind of deserves to be. He's trying to establish himself here to be like, yeah, I know you just spent time in Australia, but remember me? I know Italian.
If you're
I'm rich.
I know Italian.
That's very good. That's
It's very
lot-
good.
That's like as much as wearing a watch.
It really is.
Women love that shit.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like
What kind of
it's-
watch are we talking?
exactly. You're right. Like it's I don't know. Like because they did have that kiss in the bush.
Yeah. They may have done more.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, put your hand in that bush.
like
Go ahead.
I'm trying.
He's really trying. Can you shut up?
I'm trying.
No, please keep interjecting. Because then maybe I'll get to my point. No, like, what does Dundee think about all this? You know, like we had this kiss. Who is
Correct.
Richard? What's going on here? Like you were just fine with, like you guys are kissing at the table now, right in front of me. Like what is this?
This
shit?
is Sue's fault.
It is.
It's Sue's fault. And another problem here, too, and the thing of it is, though, Dundee does recognize this.
Sure.
And he even says, you guys should be
Yeah,
alone.
yeah, I gotta
should go.
He walked in and he realizes that he's the other guy.
I'll go hang out with my cabbie
He is
friend.
a third wheel. Like he's thought, like maybe he just thought this was another work acquaintance of
Yep.
hers. Turns out, no, they are together. And he's like,
Probably
you
for a
guys
long
should
time.
be alone. I should be out of here, guys.
Yeah.
And she says no. And Richard's been drinking. We see that
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it.
You know,
you guys were late.
he's checking out.
What am I gonna do?
He
This
does
guy
check
has
out.
a huge knife. All right, I'm gonna drink a bit.
I gotta make sure I can. If I'm gonna get stabbed, I just want to bleed out. So I'm just gonna drink a bunch of alcohol.
I'm gonna drink enough to make believe that my dick is as big as that knife.
That's right.
That's what I'm doing.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I'm. You know,
You know what I'm talking
No,
about.
you know,
get it.
yeah.
the handle.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You get to just continue to just upset people. We might as well. Sue's my punchable face.
Sue's my punchable face.
I'm gonna stick with the sexist nature of this movie, and I'm gonna punch Sue.
I'm with you. To be
I
honest,
kind of like this. I think she does deserve a good old, you know.
just like nothing. Just hey, maybe on the arm.
Right.
Hey.
Come on.
Hey. All right.
All right. Hey, you shouldn't have done that.
Get the net. Get the
Equal
net.
opportunity punching around here, guys.
Well,
And
if we're talking
strong,
punchable
independent
faces,
women are the same.
yeah. Can we then talk about lovable face? It's the cabbie for me.
Is it? Is it the cabbie? I think it's the doorman.
He's pretty good.
He's great. I'm gonna go with Neville.
Yeah.
I really like
Ooh,
Neville.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Neville's pretty good. I love this cabbie. I love how drunk he is. I love how he takes him to the pub.
He's
my
really
last
cool.
ship. Let's go. Woo!
He's like, I'm Italian. I'll drink you to the table. And then she's just like,
He's just a really cool guy. I love 80s New York for some reason.
know.
It's a whole different culture to me.
there's always a saxophone playing, you know? Like, there's always a trash can fire to huddle around. I love 80s New York,
So,
you know?
so let's. When was the last time you saw this movie?
I couldn't even tell you, Mike.
Okay, then
before we
go
get
ahead.
into this, I like again with this kind of personality trait. I just love how he just makes friends with the whole bar. But it is, you know, I think you said it on our last Patreon with someone who had an English accent. They just played that up. You know, someone with an accent is gonna attract the entire bar to them for
true.
sure. But like his personality is way bigger than that too. I do like that a lot.
There's got to be something behind the accent
Yes.
that continues to entice, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just like, oh, I paid the quarter and I got a show and then I'm gone. You know, it's whatever. I'm done with this. But instead, you meet somebody who's actually very interesting and is telling a great story. It's actually the sharks that you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like guy, you got to meet this guy
Yeah.
because it's holy shit. He's got
Yes.
some crazy stories. I love that.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
So did you realize that there was this scene in here with like the trans person? This is the biggest. This is the biggest issue that anyone has with this
for
movie.
sure, and like I guess rightfully so. Like this is pretty.
What did it make you feel the first time you saw this? Were you just like, whoa?
Yeah, I'm just but like it is the 80s, and like I guess this is just the way it was. But like that's no excuse whatsoever. It's just like he's never seen anything like this before or heard of anything like this before. Being an Australian, the bushman in the outback of Australia, you know, but. I think they handle it in a they do make it comedic, which is kind of shitty. But
Well,
I don't know.
What
What
sort
are
of
you
sets
gonna
up the joke later with Fran with that old lady,
say?
Right.
and it just it sets that up to where then again like it's in a funny way, and then she like enjoyed it pretty much because she's waving at him from across the bar. Yeah, you shouldn't do that to anyone.
No.
But again, like this isn't this is him definitely being from a place where he's like, what? Like I've never even heard of that. There's no way, you know. Like so he.
And no matter what place you're from, that is not okay.
Of course, like I accidentally did that on accident once to a girl that I thought was my wife now, my then girlfriend.
You just like
From
missed it.
behind, yeah, and it was the worst like feeling of my entire life to be like, oh, I'm so no. Luckily this person was like, yeah, I get it, it's fine. But I was like, no, look, I thought you're identical.
Oh my god.
That was a terrible moment in my life. So I get like most people shouldn't agree to not want to do that, but it's also like I see what they're doing. They're trying to fish out of water him. Like this doesn't happen in the outback of Australia.
And today's cinema would not do that because
No.
it's just like we've seen that time and time again, like Dumb and Dumb what am I thinking of? Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Right.
it's just a shitty plot.
Yeah, it's just a shitty plot.
That is what they went for, to be like the catalyst of this plot, you know, and that's fucking stupid. It's just stupid. And it's just like it happens and I'm like, ugh.
Well,
All right.
you can see what they did. They're trying to think of all these things to throw at Dundee to be like, what would he have not experienced
Exactly.
that he would see in New York? Oh, you know what? He's probably, there's this thing like kind of trans thing, like I bet he's never even heard of that being from the bush of Australia. we'll make a girl hitting on him, but it's actually a guy. Like it'll be awesome. You can see what the writer's room was like back then. It was just throwing stuff at him.
The worst part of this, in all honesty, or what makes this honestly what I believe makes it so bad, is kind of the room erupting after the fact.
Yeah,
that's really what the worst part of this whole interaction is.
They're all in on it and laughing at them.
Correct. Yes. And then beforehand, there's also the point that if Dundee is the ignorant here and is potentially being taken advantage of to some degree then too, and then his buddy's like, hey, you gotta like, hey, you do know what's going on, man? Like, it's like, do you know what's happening?
If you're into it, fine.
Hey, if you're good with that,
we just want
right?
to make sure you understand what's happening.
Yeah. And so, well, then what if this person's trying to seduce Dundee, and what happens if he did get seduced and they do go back? Then what happens?
I think he'd be into it.
The guy's got a big knife. Like,
oh shit!
Just like he's gonna get defensive. Damn it!
The cabbie's actually trying to save everyone's life here at this point.
Gwendolyn.
Yeah, Gwendolyn.
So it's just, but that's kind of what I think, making it, turning this situation goes from somewhat of an innocent, mild plot device of the time to a not so good one, is like everybody's laughing now.
Yeah.
And
it's the
only part of the movie that's pretty dated.
This is This is the one that I'm just like, just bad writing, bad plot.
Get it out of
the
here.
rest, the rest I see no issues with whatsoever.
Yes.
This one's like,
It's like, hey, this is not good. So, we need to understand this is all, again, it's the same idea of what happened with Reginald Johnson.
Yeah.
At that point in the limo, it's the same kind of dynamic.
And we're better now.
And here we are.
Look at us.
We moved on.
Look at us, huh?
And we moved on to scene 5, the
Hey,
final
I love
scene. So scene 5, spending more time with Sue for the story, they begin to fall in love, especially after he charms her at a party and saves her from muggers. They go to a fancy dinner where Richard proposes to Sue. Mick decides to leave town, but Sue breaks off the engagement and stops him from leaving.
Can I just ask, guys,
Yeah.
why the fuck does Richard always look like he's going to a 70s prom?
It's the 80s.
Always. Like,
Hey, it's
dude.
80s.
It's the 80s.
Oh, dude, it's the 80s. 70s prom. Like, I mean, this powder blue suit thing that he's in, beforehand, he's like sitting there drinking at the bar. It might as well be another like Dumb and Dumber suit. Like, dude, it's bad. Like, everything about his attire and the way that he talks is just atrocious.
It's pretty
Hey, I know Italian, all right?
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
Maybe he'll want to order for us. Fuck off, Richard.
He's smart, though. I'd like to propose that Richard actually does not love Sue. Richard knows that Sue will be inheriting the company someday.
He wants the empire.
It's his money bag.
Yes. This is his money bag. I mean, she's hot. You see that red dress she's wearing at that party?
It can't be understated. Like we've
gotta-
talked about how her performance is great, but
I just got one of those weird shivers.
yeah,
You guys know what I'm talking, you guys know what I'm
100%,
talking about, right?
100%,
Okay, yeah.
No, he's going after her for the money in the empire.
yeah.
Which is why we don't care as much about him.
And like even to her more punchable face aspect is like she's teasing him while he's in the hotel room. You know, like this is fun and cute. If they were like flirting and she didn't have a boyfriend, it would be fun and cute. You know,
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
Senor Mick,
Senor me.
may I get you like whatever? You know, it's just like
Fluff your pillow?
Yeah.
Jerk you off?
Yeah, jerk you off?
Yeah.
You want me? You want me?
what kind of hotel is?
Somebody please stitch. Please stitch Mick. Going, what the hell? And then the door opens and it's Chris Farley. That's what I want.
Ooh.
But then, obviously, you start to get these moments where they are falling in love. They go to this party. She's got the red dress on. He's charming as hell. The entire room falls unbelievably in love with this man. He grabs an old lady's crotch, and she wants to bone him.
She needs to go to Australia.
Which
Yes.
is just like, he's okay with trans people now? Like he just gets it now?
I think he's figuring it out.
He always was.
Yeah, he was always fine with it.
Can I just maybe I want to clarify on that too. He always was.
He just wanted
But
to know
he
for
also
sure.
wasn't okay with the fact that he was trying to that they were trying to take him home to maybe do that, whatever it is. But in the end, he's just like, oh, well, that's fine. He's also fine. And I think, by the way, the scene directly after that, when he is literally like approaching hookers,
Yeah.
and sex workers, his innocence and misunderstanding, ignorance of like, are you guys engaged? I want to make sure, who knows? It's like he's just trying to court people at this point. And unfortunately, he's never finding himself in the scenario where it could actually like work out to the way he might want.
Very true.
Like, let's be real. It's just Sue is like the only one that seems like is worth.
And I would be trying to probably get some action too if I was being toyed around like this.
Yeah.
From Sue.
He does. In fact, after the good point, I didn't realize that after he leaves this dinner party, when they get engaged, he gets a bottle of liquor from our man Carl in the front seat.
Yeah.
And then he finds some ladies on the side of the street. He's like, Simone. Like, he's like, let's go.
Yeah.
And it turns out not to be them. But I mean, yeah, I think again, another thing about Sue here is she saw what Mick was doing with this guy's cocaine. She's just standing there laughing.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe you stop him and go, Mick, no, that's not actually what
Like,
you
is
think
it some sort of like bath salt if you boil cocaine?
I don't know. I wonder if people have tried that.
I think it is. I think it's like a bath bomb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
sick.
so I
Just
think
like
this. Yep.
Put it in your bath.
It's like an Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah.
It's just kind of
Yeah.
it kind of fizzes up in the hot
Yeah.
water, and I see. I think maybe that's the way they do it down in Australia. But for my cocaine, I like to soak my feet for 15 minutes
Yep.
rather than my face, and that kind of like Epsom salts, and just kind of a different kind of bath salt, and that way it just kind of all the toxins go out, and then I feel really good,
It just
feels
and
nice.
energized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes cutting your toenails a little easier.
Yeah, eventually you just can't feel your nose, and that way because of what you did with your feet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then it's not a knife scene. Still does it for me every
Still
time.
amazing.
Still an amazing scene.
My wife asked me, "Is that where your dad's clothing is from?" And I said, "Yep, every time."
Turns out in the 80s, like in the late 80s, early 90s, when women would go to Lamaze class, husbands went to like a how to be a dad class. And,
Yes.
number one on the chalkboard. Say this anytime you see a knife.
Yes.
Say this Crocodile Dundee quote.
Correct.
But also have a bigger knife on you.
have a bigger
At
knife.
all
Yes,
times.
Yes, always.
Always have the bigger knife. It doesn't matter if it is technically kind of a smaller knife. Just have the bigger
Just
knife.
have the bigger one.
That's it.
Now he's Caesar Milaning these dogs, of course, when he arrives
Gets to the party.
When he arrives to the party and he's
He's just telling them to hang loose, and
That's all
they do.
he's doing, dude.
hang loose, pops.
Yeah. That's it, bro.
I love when Carl Winslow walks over there. He's like, "Yeah, what's up?" Never mind.
Yeah.
He gets back in his car, goes the other way around.
Do you think can we tie in his performance here into that Carl Winslow theory?
I think we have to try.
I think so. So Ghostbusters was first. So I think he was a cop, and after the events of Ghostbusters, he just remember he wouldn't take a break. He's like, no thanks, man.
The only part of the outfit he liked was the hat, so he just found a job that could give him a similar hat.
This is when he accidentally killed that kid in New York. So he's like, nah, I'm not doing this. I want a less stressful job. He gets into the limo driving, but ultimately this is when his love for being a police officer, like the meeting of Mick kind of told him like, dude, you got to do what you're good at.
Yeah,
you got to do what you're a really good cop.
Yeah.
And so then that's when he goes, you know what? I'm going to LA. I'm going to start fresh. And that's when he gets back on the force in LA for Die Hard.
Yes.
Boom.
Yep.
There it is.
So there he's right in there. Yeah.
We just found out another piece of his story.
I guess we got to
That's really
redo
it.
that video and
Guess
put it
so.
online.
We'll just keep updating it. As
Sorry,
we go.
I'm getting
Sorry.
more pissed at us.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh man.
This is kind of a fast fall off for me of this movie, right? I mean, like, but kind of by the end of it, like Mick knows, like, he's like, I need to stay in my lane, essentially, right? And it's this idea, like, he proposes. It seems as though she kind of accepts at this party.
pretty happy.
And she seems excited, happy enough about it.
She doesn't take one look at Mick, like literally at
No.
all. Like
Not at all. And so he ends up leaving, gets that bottle from old Reg.
just a limo driver
Carl,
traveling around and with his limo with open bottle.
Open container. New York
fine.
was different back then,
That's
man.
true. I know.
Yeah,
that.
come
You know,
on,
they had,
man.
like, but, you see how casual they were about cocaine? I mean, they're just like, that was probably a couple $100s worth of cocaine.
Oh,
What's
well.
that? That's a drug. You just sniff it and stuff.
In my father's house.
In my he's got that bottle. By the way, that thing's only got like this much in it. It's like, come on, man.
Mick's a beer drinker. He doesn't dabble in liquor, so it's gonna really do it to him.
He's a volume guy.
Yeah.
He's a volume guy. But then he kind of goes out. He has that run in with the pimp again.
Which, by the way, the worst moment in 80s TV movie history is Carl Winslow throwing the satellite boomerang.
Yeah.
Hitting that guy.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, we all wanted to do it.
Which it is kind of truthful, though, because if you've ever thrown a boomerang, they never come back to you.
No.
So, like, it was kind of truthful that he threw a boomerang and it just went straight and hit
just
that guy.
hit him.
Yeah. But still, it's like, you should have not done this.
And, like, was it after this confrontation that he punched that pimp beforehand, and now after that he's got goons just waiting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they were just waiting.
They all look like they just came from a sock hop.
Yeah.
American Graffiti.
Yeah, like they look like one of the old gangs.
The Pharaohs.
Yeah.
We heard you fucked up our boy.
Yeah.
That can't happen around here.
Yeah, you got something that we want. Let's go.
You're from down under, we're from up top.
They look like a...
If this fucking movie was a musical, that is what the song would do. You came from down under, but we're gonna be on top.
We're gonna come out on top. Let's get him, boys. Yeah.
Don't ever do that again.
Sorry. So sorry.
Don't ever, Sean.
You got a switchblade? Well, I got a knife. Hey. It's like they look like boppers from fucking Warriors, right? Like one of the gangs that got on the subway. That's what these dudes look like, and they deserved every punch they got. The boomerang, I hope it killed the guy. Let's be honest.
It did.
And then, but after that,
dude, you nailed it. They literally they didn't even take the time to show her like breaking it off with Richard.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the conversation of her with her dad.
No.
They just like the limo pulls up and he's like, whatever's best for you. Like, I trust you. Like, they had the conversation in the limo.
It's like in the limo.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for just ending this in 90 minutes. It's so perfect.
Well, yeah. But
in all honesty, we'll never need... Sorry, but like we never need...
We don't.
Very rarely do we actually ever need the confrontational debate of, I know what's best for my daughter. and I'm going to prove you wrong, Dad. It's like, are you sure you know what you're doing? I'm sure, Dad. I know.
All right.
I what can I say? I love him.
We're going to the
And then
Hamptons this
move
weekend.
on.
So if
Hey,
you need us, we'll be in the Hamptons.
So if this works out, you want to bring him along,
whatever.
you could do some fishing with us. Cool.
it's just
Go ahead.
like
Sorry.
they kind of decide to make this movie what it is now. And it's like, oh, we're going to have the cutesy, he calls her out in the subway kind of thing, meet cute again, I guess. But they do set it up, I guess. It just feels like so cookie cutter to me, where it's, this is what this movie is now. It's about them and their kind of relationship that like didn't really make sense to begin with, because she was totally happy with Richard, but now she wants the Bushman. It's just like, okay, well, I mean, I don't know. It's just pretty cliche, and maybe like this is just like of its time, I guess.
Yep.
But
it's late 80s, man. Like
some of those things work for me, but I guess just this one just didn't really.
There's a joke in there about not wanting the dick and having the bush and something like the Bushman.
Too
late.
There's something in there.
You'll
Go
figure
ahead, Mike.
You'll figure it out at home.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this ending, because like if you take it for what it's worth, being a late 80s rom-com, I guess, like it kind of is. This is so funny to me. This, like, first of all, her, they fall in love and she still doesn't have her shoes on in a subway. Like, this is
gross.
just pretty disgusting.
Somebody peed on
in
those
80s
stairs.
New York. This is gross.
You don't want to be doing that.
That's how in love she is, though. But the idea of throwing their love back and forth between the construction worker and the other guy, like, I don't know why that's so charming to me.
Yeah.
I love the ending of this movie.
The
music. This is the moment I would have talked about in our top 5 music moments of this scene. For some reason, it just like it does it for me.
It's great that they got rid of the trivial back and forth of like I say, dad and daughter kind of thing.
Breaking it off with Richard,
all that stuff. and they allow it to be more about, rather than just run into each other's arms. I love you too, and then the kiss. Let's go to Australia, and then that's it. And then, but instead, they're like, let's draw this out. Like, let's actually have some fun with this. This is New York. It's still the same bustling, busy place, and there's people in front of it. Let's just use that. Yeah. I love that. I think they use that time very well.
You kind of convinced me a little bit on this because I do like the wrap up of just like we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just go for it. And I do think that the ending is very creative in the way that, it is very rom-com-y, which this movie is really not a rom-com in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's where it just kind of
maybe the end is, which is why
that's what I'm saying. Is like it just kind of came out of nowhere a
we're
little
a
bit.
rom-com now.
But still, it is creative as like they shot this in an abandoned subway station, and they got all these extras, and
That's
it's just
awesome.
like they get these other extras to just like have these bit parts where they're pretty much playing telephone back and forth together. It's very creative, and then he just starts walking over him. I do respect that a lot. It just did be like, oh no, we're a romantic comedy now, and like this is like Sleepless in Seattle.
Yep.
Did you guys recognize the construction worker?
No.
Yeah, it's Jake Belushi is Jim and John's youngest brother.
For real?
No.
Yeah,
Not
why
at
are
all.
you
It
even...
just looks exactly fucking like Jim
I can see
Belushi.
that. I can see that
It
now.
looks exactly like him.
You should have just gone with it, man.
I should have. I should have just lied to our entire audience and just been like, "Go look it up, idiots."
Go look it up, idiots.
I do love how it's that game of telephone between them, and I love how each of those characters in between kind of puts their own little. Don't leave. She's not going to marry Richard. Why not? It's like, well, why not? It's like it's a very fun thing to watch them each put their own little spin on the comments in this like telephone game. Super hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, boys, we've dissected Crocodile Dundee with a modern eye. Time to give it a modern day rating. Since I did pick this, I will go first. This is a weekend at Bernie's for me. I look through the movies we've done, and I think it's the most comparable movie of anything we've done. It is capital 80s. It is of the time. There's some issues maybe with it that modern people, like modern day people, will find with it that I am easily able to overlook because I can go back in a time machine. It's good. It's not as good as some of the other movies of that era that we've done, but I really loved rewatching it. It's been 20 years. I watched it. My wife even walked in and was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever movie you're doing," and then she kept like watching it.
Yeah.
Like okay, cool. Like you like this? It is a charming movie. I love Paul Hogan. I love the country of Australia. I love that this movie kind of put it on the map a little bit. So again, I'm going to give it the same rating I gave Weekend at Bernie's. I'm a 6.8 on this. Sean, how about you, man?
Yeah, I think that it's really entertaining. I think Paul Hogan is extremely charming. I do agree with that. I think he's hilarious. I think Linda Kozlowski, right?
Linda.
I think she doesn't get enough credit for this role. I think she's outstanding and just incredibly beautiful in this movie. Kind of stunning. I do like the first aspect of the Australian life more than I do when they go to New York and he's kind of the fish out of water. But I do respect the juxtaposition between the two of, like you said, the reverse or double reverse kind of a fish out of water thing. I didn't realize that before, and I think I've never really seen a movie like that other than this, I guess. I just think that it's a little bit too cookie cutter for me as far as like the romance aspect goes. I like every time that Paul Hogan is on screen doing something. I love that aspect. But like as soon as I get to New York, I'm just like, okay, yeah, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I don't know if I ever really need to rewatch this movie as much as I would like, honestly, Weekend at Bernie's to you bringing up that comparison. I'm gonna give this a 5.199.
5.199, which is a 5.2 on my scoreboard. AJ, what about you, man?
I think you need some extra decimal points, sir.
No. Nope.
Absolutely not. No, I agree with you guys, and I think that all the reasons that people get upset about this movie, like I say, it's parlance of the times. Is that what that statement actually means? It's the we've come beyond it, right? We've gone beyond this. We've gotten past this. We can look at these things that people would want to criticize and know that we've made progress since then, rightfully so, obviously. And all the reasons that people would applaud this movie still shine very brightly. You know, I think that there's a lot of great qualities about the character, you know, beyond some of those negatives that, you know, meeting people, being able to meet people and be appreciative of other people's presence around you and meet people with an open mind. I think that's a really great thing to be able to take away from this movie, but also being, you know, taking care of yourself and those people around you. And I think that the love story is worthwhile. I like that there's some fluff cut out of it. Richard is maybe one of the most like throwaway bad guys, if in my mind. But
Wasn't
again,
even a bad guy.
He's not even really a bad guy. He's just one of these throwaway characters that, you know, whatever. And I think doing something like that gives more way for focusing on the love interests themselves. So beyond that, I think it also sets up great for a number 2, and which I can't wait till if we actually get to do that movie. So this is one that I actually referred to my lists and my previous rankings, and I found a good spot for it. I think it is a 6.77.
6.77 for age. We got to go to Michael Guiliano, who was our executive producer on this episode. He said, like I said before, I don't think I've seen Crocodile Dundee since that first time my mom forced us to watch it. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. I know that it had a reputation for being this inexplicably popular movie with a long-lasting cultural impact, but I also felt like it was sort of an older people comedy at this point. I mean, when's the last time you heard anybody under the age of 50 bringing it up as a favorite? So with that bias behind me, it was time to watch a 40-year-old movie for the first time in almost 30 years. I know that the point of this is to strip away the nostalgia and judge these movies with a modern eye, but I definitely went into this one with a little bit of negative bias, given how much my first viewing annoyed me. But surprisingly, I found myself a bit charmed by the movie, sort of like how Sue gets charmed by Mick. It's far from perfect, it's not deep, and I think it wraps up really quickly, but I can see how this could be the type of movie that could spread wildly by word of mouth. I was sort of surprised by how relatively short the Australia scenes were in comparison to the New York scenes. In fact, it's definitely a bit of a nostalgia talking, but this may actually be a better New York City movie than an Australia movie, because I think it really does a really nice job of nailing the vibe of the city. Plus, it has the same look of the city that I grew up with, so that was definitely a bit of a throwback. Speaking of authentic New York movies, one part that definitely got a reaction from me was the ending, where Sue gets rid of her shoes and runs after Mick in a subway station. Sue, if you're a real New Yorker, you know that you're not making it 20 feet across any sidewalk or crosswalk without encountering some broken glass, needles, or some kind of garbage. Do you want tetanus? Because that's how you get tetanus. And I know the whole, oh, it's okay, he's not from around here bit is played for laughs. But wow, Mick would last about 30 seconds in modern times before he got canceled. Yeah, pretty sure giving another person's crotch a friendly tug isn't a traditional Aussie greeting, no matter how charmingly you play it off. Most punchable face is easily Richard. My modern day rating is a 7.25. So that's going to be a 6.51 for us. And it's going to fall all alone in the 120th spot of any movie we've done. That is right below Speed, The Evil Dead, Red Dawn, Christmas Vacation, right above Tremors, Airheads, Airborne, and Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a re-ranking episode coming up soon, so we'll take a look at those and see if we feel differently. But
can't wait.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Tune in next week. Independence Day is finally making its way onto the podcast, followed by a true classic, Friday. Also, make sure you check out the Movie Pass documentary and the Brat Pack documentary. We're going to be doing those on brunches here real soon. And if you're new to the podcast, go back this time last year, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Hell yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes, go visit that one, guys. This was a super fun episode, too. Oh, thank you so much for listening along with us. We really do appreciate you being here. Check us out on YouTube. We got the new studio digs. We're putting up stuff. We're throwing up new things here. Make sure you're following along there. Social media is Confused Breakfast, at Confused Breakfast. Just anywhere on social media. Right, Sean? And then Make sure you're leaving us a review, too. We really do appreciate you coming checking us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you're listening on. But just drop us a line with a review and 5 stars. We appreciate it.
ConfusedBreakfast.com as well. Visit that website to see the merch that we have. You can buy some shirts from us. You can buy some koozies from Not Your Father's. You can buy some stickers at ConfusedBreakfast.com. You can get whatever you want there. Just check it out. Have some fun with it. Go to ConfusedBreakfast.com as well to see the ratings of the movies that we have covered. You can see AJ's ratings. You can see Mike's ratings. You can see my ratings. And then the show's ratings overall, including our executive producers. Thank you so much. I love you.
We are produced by Logan at Upload Media Group in Cedar Rapids. Learn more at uploadmediagroup.com. And we are on the Cloud 10 iHeart Podcast Network. Learn more at cloud10.fm. Good day, night?
Good day.
Good night.
Good day.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.